It is nerve-wracking when you start. It's scary.
Yes. Okay. Now I'm doing I'm just trying to get all this spelled right.
Nice. Thank goodness you're so techy.
Oh, I don't know about so techy. But thank you. Okay, and then we're going to return again.
We probably should invite Holly because
I did.
Oh, good.
Yep, I already did.
Ooh, $10 off my snack on DoorDash. Hi, Dane. Don't leave me.
Hi, everyone. We'll be starting the show soon. Let me get invites. Okay, I just invited her again.
Nice.
And Cynthia, don't forget, we got to do Shutterstock.
Oh, yeah, that's awesome. Do I have to do anything for my video?
Yep, I'm going to invite you up there.
Oh, good. Perfect.
I'm just going to give it like a minute until she jumps on, then we'll both go on video.
Okay.
I'm going to invite her again. Hold on.
She should click on your show, right?
Yep, she can click on the show. And also go to her alerts.
She has to go to alerts even if you invited her?
No, she can go right into the show, or if she goes to her alerts, she can jump in too.
Okay. It's scary when you leave the green room and then you have to come back
Here
on.
we are. Invite to stage.
You can see it.
And then I'm going to put you. Invite you to video mode. Hello, everyone. How are you? Welcome to YNS Live with NFL Thread and our guest, Holly Robinson Peete. Before Cynthia introduces Holly, Holly, I've just invited you to video mode so you can kind of see. If you want, I'm going to do that again so you can get on stage in video mode. And then everyone that's in the audience, whether you're listening through on live with YouTube, if you're live on LinkedIn, live on Facebook, live on Twitch. Hey, Holly, how are you? I want you. Thank you so much for joining. So you guys, I want you guys to share this. And if you're in the audience right now, the two little lines down to the left at the bottom, if you're new to Fireside, welcome as well. If you listen to those, click those two little lines, you'll see where it says broadcast to the world or simulcast everywhere. You can click those and you can send it to whoever you want. So other people can kind of get in here. They can be listening on another platform, which is really, really, really cool. So wanted to welcome everyone right now that is joining as people come in. Erica and James and Phi and Ray and Peter. And I know people are going to be jumping in. I'm getting texts like, well, I'm coming. So welcome again to YNS Live with NFL Thread. This show is sponsored by Shutterstock Editorial. wherever we are, they're going to be taking pictures, and we're going to go into this whole thing where we're going to tell you all about that. And that's with the NFL Thread luncheon and the different events that we're going to be doing the week of the Super Bowl. And that is one of the reasons why we have Holly here, where we're going to dive into her story, but then get into why the three of us are up on stage here. And this is really exciting. So I am going to let you, Cynthia, introduce Holly.
Oh my goodness. It's a pleasure to introduce Holly, who we go way back to our Philadelphia days together. Probably one of my most favorite moments was training camp, when we just sat in the hallway with our babies in their room sleeping and checked on them the whole night. That was just a beautiful night. But I'm so happy and consider Holly such a great friend. And I'm so proud to be a part of Off the Field, and to have Holly be one of our amazing co-chairs this year, and have our beneficiary be something that's so special to all of us, the Holly Rudd Foundation. So it's a big month. We've been really busy. Holly, Sharice Brown, and Cookie Johnson are just killing it for us, and we just hope to do the same for them this year, with Holly Rudd being the beneficiary. So thank you for joining us today to talk about all this and more.
It's my pleasure. I don't know how we're going to get our long history of friendship in this little bit of time, but we're going to do our best. It's my honor to be on with you guys. I love this platform. Never been here before, and it's so cool. And yes, Cindy and I go way, way back to our football wife days, especially in Philadelphia, which were very memorable. I'm from Philly, so it was an extra interesting experience to be there. But what I found was, I did find a lot of friendship with other wives, but Cindy always stood out to me as one of the most compassionate. She was so talented with her photography, and she just kind of got me. I think we just kind of got each other. And so I'm just thrilled to be able to talk to you again, Cin, and then and Julia, just to be here with the three of you, the two of you, the three of us, and talk about all this exciting stuff that we have going on for Super Bowl, and then whatever else you want to ask me.
Right.
Yes, I love that. I love that. And I love, this is one of the things. So when, Erica and Rachel were on here, I love seeing you guys interact. It makes me so happy. And I call myself the lay person, the outside person, but just being able to see you guys get so excited, and you can just see the love for the community that you guys have. So which is amazing. So I want to start with your Philly days, because I grew up right outside of Philadelphia. I don't know if you know this, but I actually babysat the Zordich kids in Morristown, where I grew up. And that's how Cynthia, way back. And then I interviewed her on my podcast, because I was interviewing people that followed a passion. And I remember being a 16 and 17-year-old girl watching Cindy and being in awe, just being she is so cool. She has such an amazing family, amazing kids. And look at her. And this was right when she started taking the pictures. So it was really cool to see unfold. So I go back to remember that. And I asked her to be on my podcast. And then this whole thing kind of came about, where we, as I was talking to her, and when we were kind of reminiscing, and she was talking about the old days, I said, I need to have a platform where I can have you guys, the wives, the spouses, come up and talk about your experience, because not many of us know. And, when your husbands are traded or they're injured, you go through a lot. And as a spouse, you hold everything, you're really there as the support system. So I think it's just a beautiful place to be able to highlight you. And the fact that you were an NFL spouse, or are an NFL spouse, but then also all the stuff that you have done, your background, and all of the help that you have done is just amazing. As I was reading through your bio, I was just in awe, because you are just a really, you could see your heart and feel your heart as it came out. And I remember, watching you on TV as well. And so it was really cool to kind of put together and then hear, Cynthia talk and reminisce about this. So again, I'm going to go back to your Philly days. Can you give us a little bit about your background and where you grew up?
Yes, so I didn't realize you were, because that's Philly, where you grew up, that's Philly. And
Yes.
Philly really extends all the way to Cherry Hill, New Jersey. That Philly area is, it's very distinguished and identifiable. I grew up in Philadelphia. I was born there. My dad was a local television personality at WCAU, and my mom was a school teacher, and then she became a local television personality at KYW. So we had a lot of local TV connection. But then he got this big, giant job in New York called Sesame Street. And that was a crazy time because I was only 5 or 6 years old. This is in 69, 68, 69. And I was like, oh my gosh, like, what are you doing? Because it was so groundbreaking that when he was trying to explain it to me, I was like, yeah, good luck with that. That didn't sound like anything I'm watching on TV right now. He was like, Holly, it takes place at a city block, like just like our block here in Wadsworth Avenue, like, and everyone comes out, just like we have block parties. And I was like, wow, okay, because that was back in the day. That was like Captain Kangaroo and Mr. Rod. There wasn't anything where I saw children who looked like me. So my dad went on to New York and did this great show, and then he ended up bringing a lot of our friends from the block up, and it was really cool. It was really cool. And then somewhere in there, my parents got divorced, and my mom decided she was gonna flee to California in search of a better life, which is the whole like second chapter of this crazy life. But it was a really my Philadelphia roots are so strong, and anybody who's from Philly knows this. Like you can move to Timbuktu, but you are still that Philly is always inside you and lives inside you. And so I love those days, but I didn't have more Philly days, real Philly days again until the Eagles came along and Rodney was playing for the Eagles. And that was very complex because as you know, Eagles fans are passionate is the nicest way I can put it. And my relatives are no different. And I was just telling somebody the other day the story about how the hardest thing to play in Philadelphia was that my own relatives would be yelling at my husband from the stands, from the tickets that we got them.
I can imagine. Oh my gosh, I can imagine.
So I mean, it was. I'm sorry, you guys. I have a errant eyelash. So if I keep doing this, let's just keep it real.
Yeah, please. This is what this is about.
Note to self. I decided today to try a new type of eyelash. One they said was self-adhesive, but it ain't sticking. So if I keep going like this, that's about.
Just keep doing it.
And if it starts to fly off, we'll let you know.
I can feel it. I can feel it fluttering away. It's not on properly, but you know what? It's all good. That's what I get for trying something new on game day.
Right. That's amazing. But I can totally, and I love how you told that story because I could totally picture your relatives being like, Holly, what's he doing? I mean, so I married a New Yorker who's a Giants fan. So it is very funny. He's from the Bronx. So it's very funny, because I still, Eagles, my whole family is Eagles, but my kids are not. They're, my husband's like, oh, no, you will be a Giants fan.
I love it. Holly, tell them about your book though. I loved when you did this because we were in Philly together.
Yeah. So you're talking about my book?
Really?
So I made a book because basically because my girlfriends were so naive, not my Cindy girlfriends, but my other girlfriends were so naive to what football was, like really didn't even get the X's and O's or just anything, like what the score was called. Was it a home run? Was it a touch? So I wrote this little guide for them. And then someone said, you should go around and see if someone wants to pick that up. And so I did write a football book, and it was part football, X and O's. It was part my crazy life as a football wife. And it was part like an homage to my dad, who bled Eagle Green in a way that's not even normal. And thank God that he lived long enough to see me marry an Eagles quarterback. Actually, on the night of our wedding, he got traded from Dallas, of all places, to Philly. So that was the biggest wedding gift my father.
Oh my God, that must have been
insane. My dad was like, "How do you expect me to root for my son-in-law? Like this is." And then that night, we made the announcement at the wedding that he was now an Eagle. So all my relatives were so happy. But okay, eyelash acting crazy. But so I decided to write a book. And it was called Get Your Own Damn Beer, I'm Watching the Game, A Woman's Guide to Loving Pro Football. And it was great, and it did really well. But it got outdated so fast because once social media came along, and I think they even shifted the NFC North even a little. So I have to reboot that book.
Please do it.
It's very dated, but it still was a labor of love and so much fun to write.
And I love that. And I also, because when I saw that, I like totally laughed out loud. But what made you pick the title? Like, was there a lot of different titles? Was that something that you just said? So can you take us a little through that, Tiny?
Awesome.
There were many different titles, and one was um, I gotta go, girl. The game is on. Stuff like that. It was just stuff like I would be saying. And I remember one time, one of Rodney's friends was over or something and said, "Hey, want to get me a beer?" And I was like, "Get your own damn beer. I'm watching the game." And they all laughed, and I thought, "Oh,
That's
that's
so
how
funny.
that happened."
That's excellent.
That right. That's perfect. And I mean, you've written, so not only are you an actress, you also have written a lot of other books as well. Am I correct on that one?
Yeah, Get Your Own Damn Beer was my first book, and then I've written three others. One called My Brother Charlie, which is a children's book about autism, a beautiful picture book, and then another book called Same But Different, which was sort of the follow up to that, the middle school version of that, and what happens in middle school to children with autism and the struggles. And now we have another book coming out in July called Charlie Makes a Splash. That's the follow up to My Brother Charlie. We're really, really excited about these books.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. That's amazing. And were you ever like, did you ever aspire to write a book? Was that something that you had in your system that you were like, I always wanted to write a book, or was it just kind of how life played out?
Well, my dad, beyond being Gordon from Sesame Street, was a
As a
writer.
writer, right?
Yeah, that's what he did, and he ended up actually after he left Sesame Street, he went on to write for the Waltons, Sanford and Son, Eight is Enough, the Jeffersons, like really iconic shows, and he
Right.
wrote books, plays, and so I have that writer DNA in me. So I always felt like, okay, I want to do this. I just don't know what I want to write about yet. And I really want to write a memoir. That's sort of high on my bucket list.
Beautiful.
And I'm talking about doing that because it's just the ups and downs. I feel like I've lived enough life at 57 to go, all right, it's time to write. Sometimes you see these 18, 19-year-olds writing a memoir of my life. I'm like, girl, you ain't even lived. What are you writing a memoir about?
Right.
So I feel like I'm there now.
I like it.
I love that. And so your dad really instilled the writing into you, because I did read about, how passionate he was about it as well. Because sometimes when you have a parent that does one thing, sometimes kids, go to that. And then other times kids are
Oh
like,
my God.
whoa, I'm not doing that.
Intimidated. I was so intimidated to write, and I was so intimidated to show. I was intimidated to show him my thesis papers in college,
Right.
because that's how brilliant and what an amazing writer he was. He was highly critical of everybody, of everything, because he just was that brilliant and bright. And so that was scary. It was definitely scary, and didn't really get the chance for him to see before he passed away. Him to see my books, but I think he would have been very happy because he wrote children's books too. So I had one that I kept around that I always looked through as inspiration. Hold on. I just saw it peek out at me. So this
Oh,
is
I
the
love
book.
that.
It's so old, you guys. It's from like 1970, but it's
Wait a minute. I
book.
didn't even know that. See, now I need to start searching for that too. See, this is something
You
I
have
want to
one,
read.
Cindy. Save it. But
Oh,
it was so. I mean, these 5 stories in here, and I used to read these to my kids, and so I was so inspired. So before I started writing, the My Brother Charlie, I literally went back and looked and read this book and was like, okay, this is my inspo.
I love that. That was one of my favorite things, Juliet. I think eBay just came out, and you could just kind of like bid on things. And I saw a Sesame Street album, or, I always like to thrift. So I would go out and I would see the albums. And so I would collect them for Holly and send them, because he was the original Gordon. So I always
Right.
imagined with the twins, especially because that's who was first, like imagine listening to your grandpa on a record and it's Sesame Street, So I would start collecting them and just finding them, some of them pretty ratty, but some of them in good condition, and get them to her, because it was like, to me, I was like, I would want that of my dad. My God, what a keepsake.
That's
And
so
it was
cool.
always fun.
And this is why we connected in Philly. Like, this is her heart. This is what she does. And no one asked her to do it. She just does it. Some of my most favorite photos that I've ever, of our career in football have been Cindy Zordich specials. And so that meant the world to me, because that is legacy, and if anybody gets a chance, there is a documentary right now that's on HBO Max called Street Gang. And it's about the first how Sesame Street started. So really features my dad,
Oh my goodness.
and you got to watch it. You will love it. And then, extra credit if you spot a 5-year-old me in there. Um, that
Oh my
producer,
gosh, I love that.
yeah, the producers didn't tell us that they were going to put me in. And when
Oh,
I came up and I saw it, I had like a moment. But meaning my mom and my brother and I, got to tell the story of my dad's tenure there, his time there. And we got to tell the story of Roosevelt Franklin, who was his Muppet, who was really, I think Cindy sent me a couple Roosevelt Franklin records, but really iconic and a little ahead of his time. And telling that story about why Roosevelt kind of went away. But anyway, get a chance. Street Gang, How
so
We Got to Sesame Street, I think is what it's
I
called.
love that. And I was
I'm gonna share
totally
that.
I
Great.
loved Sesame Street. And then my children, so I mean, Sesame Street was big. I was born in 1974. So it was, really, really big in us growing up. So I absolutely love that. Street Gang. Is that what you said? I'll put
Yeah,
this in the show
Street Gang.
notes.
I think it's
Yeah.
Street Gang. The subtitle is How We Got to Sesame Street.
Oh, that's so great.
It's such a good watch, you guys. Not just saying that because we're in it.
No.
I was actually really nervous to do it because I wanted to represent my dad's legacy so well, and they cut the heck out of that, and have never before seen footage that I just blew me away. So
I'm
really,
excited. That's so awesome. I just can't even imagine.
So special. And I also love, Cynthia, it is Cynthia's heart. It's Cynthia's heart. So
oh
I
yeah,
just want to really quickly, Rachel McKenzie said, Holly is phenomenal and truly an honor to support her and the Holly Rod Foundation, inspired by Fashion on a Spectrum and her dedicated efforts to support and educate others on autism and Parkinson's. So I just wanted to share that. I love that.
That's great, Rachel. That's great. And I love the title, Fashion on a Spectrum. Like,
love that title.
Love it.
Title.
so
Shout out to you guys for picking that title. It's just, it really touches something. There's like we were talking about, get your own damn beer. The words, it's like titles are important. They draw you in, and they really set the theme of whatever you're doing. And I think the Fashion on the Spectrum is just such a great name for an event, and really
Absolutely.
excited to be a part of it.
Because there's so much to that, right? That's what I love about it, because your mind can go to so many different things, and then learning more about what you're doing and, just really giving a voice to the autistic community is just so special. We're dyslexic in my house. And so I always, love when people speak out about, things that are, people that learn different or do things different. And I think it's just so important, because not everyone, you hear some stories, but it's really good to hear all stories and success stories, but then also the struggles as you go through. And then when you come out, with this successful day, it's like, so beautiful to be able to celebrate. So I love that you're, really out there, and having this platform. And I think one of the things, Cynthia, always brings me back, right, with you, with the women that have come on here, is that you guys do so much. It blows my mind. I mean, I'm a mom, I have dogs, my kids are in sports, I have a husband, I have, a business, but it blows my mind also of the kindness. And I believe it was Rachel, what she said, and I always say it wrong, right? Cynthia, I always repeat it back wrong, but when you have great power, you have great, Cynthia, do you remember what I'm talking about when Rachel said,
pretty much that responsibility, like,
yes.
Yeah.
And I just thought it's so beautiful, because you guys really do. And so many people don't know about the fashion show and what you guys, the hard work that you put in behind the scenes. And I think it's really, really important that it is talked about. And I know, Cynthia, if you want to take this to the next level, or if you want me to continue, because I know that Holly was in the beginning, 20 years ago was the first fashion show.
Well, I was actually at that fashion show with all my best friends. How about it, Holly? Like, that was on 2000 or 99 in Atlanta. And you brought your fashion show, and oh my goodness, like the most amazing people. And Holly and Rodney, you guys look so beautiful, and you did such a great job at that fashion show. And then I think it was the next year that Off the Field started to do the fashion show. And that's how we've been doing it now 21 years. And it's kind of crazy full circle in that not only did Holly do it for the first fashion show, and of course you still do all those amazing Holly Rod events that includes fashion shows a lot of times in LA. And I did have the pleasure of attending one of those, but also being a part of Off the Field, being honored by Off the Field as the Woman of the Year, which was fantastic. And then now here we are, that 20 years later, and you are the honorary co-chair, and it's for your foundation, something that didn't exist back then, that exists and is so strong right now. And for us, for all the NFL women to support you and to support what you're doing in those areas, it just feels so right. It feels so good for everybody, you know?
I totally agree. It's such a full circle. When we brought Gridiron Glamour to Super Bowl, we were really onto something. And I was actually I felt very, what's the word? I felt very good about the fact that when we stopped doing them, that the off the field fashion shows continued and grew. For us, to be honest, just going to city was kind of hard with the work we were doing. We wanted to focus on the events that we were doing in LA mainly because these events are a lot of work.
Right.
And so I was really happy to see the off the field fashion show just become bigger and bigger. And then when I was honored, that was just so special to me. But yes, it is a full circle moment. And so when they called me and said, or when you guys called me to say, hey, we want to benefit Hollywood in LA, that's a big deal. And plus, I mean, just having a Super Bowl in LA is something that I didn't even think could be possible. It always blew my mind because we're this mega market, and it was like we had no teams for so long. It just made no sense. And now we've got this spectacular, probably one of the best venues ever in the world. And we're actually going to have Super Bowl. So excited to be part of all of it, excited to be to celebrate and fellowship with all of these wives who I've known for so many years and have lots of stories with and so many great memories. And I just feel really great about it. I'm so excited to be part of it and to invite our Hollywood database and the people that support us here to be a part of it. And can't wait. And I'm looking forward to everyone showing up for us on February 11th and us really making it happen. And then you want to have a full circle moment. It's at Santa Monica Place. I don't mean to date myself. I already said how old I was. But like, I went to Santa Monica High School, and I remember when they were building Santa Monica Place.
Oh, that's great.
Why? Because I went there and got a job at Hot Dog on a Stick. I promptly quit that job. I quit that job because my dignity just suffered too much in that little outfit.
Oh my goodness.
And
I
then
love hot dog on a stick.
I went to work at Judy's and Contempo Casuals. Now you have to be a certain age to remember those fast fashion
Contempo Casuals.
I remember Contempo Casuals.
Or Forever 21. And so I just have like, we grew up and the mall was everything.
Right.
And so I just had a moment when we were talking to the ladies and Charisse and them and just saying, hey, we're on with Santa Monica Place. And every time she would say it, I go, wow, my mall where I grew up and I got my first little paycheck. So that's a full circle moment that I love.
I love it. I mean, it is going to be so beautiful. Santa Monica Place, they've just been such wonderful partners. And like, we're so excited about like that. And the fact also we would make a serious impact with Hollywood. And it's important that I say that now is the time. If sponsors are interested in taking part and getting involved, all you have to do is go to offthefieldpwa.org and go to events. You can buy tickets. You can find the sponsorship deck. You can even find all that information on my Thread LinkedIn tree, on Off the Field's Instagram. We are sharing it everywhere. If you follow any of us, we are sharing model registration, sponsorship, ticket sales, because we have serious goals and we want to make a seriously big impact in what you're doing, because that's what Off the Field is all about. Being a 5013C charity is blowing into these cities and being not just seen on the runway, but being felt for the impact in the communities and for beneficiaries. So
absolutely. And really excited that the sponsors are coming in, and we need more. We definitely need to get more. Super excited about Lexus coming on board, a couple other sponsors that have been really loyal and amazing to Hollywood. And they're like, oh, you're doing something Super Bowl? Let's go. So excited to use my resources and my reach and my platform to get people there. And I think we're going to have an awesome afternoon.
So fun. And then Juliet is going to be there. We're going to do YNS Live through the whole weekend. So we have the luncheon on Thursday, then we have the fashion show on Friday, and we're just going to kind of pop up everywhere and just be anywhere we want to be and talk to whoever will talk to us. So, but we're really excited for the first time to be able to show live and have the, the red carpet, people talking, the guests, the members, the board members, the chairs, like people don't know what women do at the Super Bowl. People don't understand. And it used to drive me crazy when everybody would be there working so hard and nobody would understand like what we were doing and not appreciate what we're doing. And that's why I love share. And, with Fireside, it's not just sharing the voice. We're actually sharing the person, everything that they do, what they look like, what they sound like, what they have to say. And I'm so excited about having Juliet join us at Super Bowl too.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you. And I'm so honored.
Yeah.
I'm so honored because it will just be really cool. Because that's the thing when Cynthia was telling me all of this stuff and then meeting all you guys, I was like, wait a second, like, how come we don't know about this more? Why don't we know? This should be broadcasted everywhere. Yeah, Super Bowl, is awesome. The game is awesome, but it also should be highlighted what you guys are doing and how you're supporting and helping so many people. That really should be out there. And so I'm just excited to do that. And if you guys see the little fortune cookie kind of scrolling, you can see Holly, and then you can also see Off the Field, and you can see the Holly Rod Foundation as well. So you guys can go there. If you're driving, please don't stop. This will be we will put this in the show notes, and we will have this where you guys can find this. This episode will actually go out on your next stop, probably on Thursday. Not this Thursday, but next Thursday. And we'll have this all in the show notes so you'll be able to find it and share it, because that's the thing. Cynthia, I love that you said that. And also you can get tickets, right? How can people get tickets? Because we've been asked, by people like, well, how can we see this? And so if you
go to the website, you go to events, and then you go right to the fashion show, and all the tickets are on Eventbrite, and it's very, very easy, an easy purchase. And the same thing with the sponsorship and sponsorship deck. And really reach out to anybody on Instagram at Off the Field if you have something that you want to participate in. There's the swag bags, and there's just so much that people can do to get involved. So much.
Yes. And here's the thing. This is what I love about networking, right? So if you're listening to this and you're like, you know what, I don't have anyone, but you know what, I actually work at an agency, or I know, a marketing woman. Share this, because that's what this is about. This is getting the word out and the voice out a little bit. Holly and Cynthia, do you mind if I just switch it a little bit? And Holly, you tell us a little bit more about Holly Rod, the foundation. Yeah. We talked about your son who's autistic and your dad, but a little bit more about when it was started, and and obviously it was close to your heart, and that's why it started, but just a little bit more about that so people can hear.
Yeah, so Holly Rod Foundation started in 1999, and we initially started it because my father had Parkinson's disease. So we talked extensively about my dad and Sesame Street and all the cool things he's done, but he was only about 45 or 46 when he was diagnosed with Parkinson's. And it was a devastating diagnosis. I mean, this is a man who's just so brilliant and had so much life ahead of him. He was actually on now when you say it has that taint to it, but it was the most brilliant show, and he was one of the writers, The Cosby Show. He wrote The Cosby Show and wrote for that, and was on there for the entire run of the show, 9 seasons, and it was brilliant, and really had a brilliant legacy that was tied to that show. But during that time, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, and it just took him down fast. And so we started Holly Rod because we wanted to support families impacted by Parkinson's. We met people in support group meetings with my dad, and we could not believe it. We were like, oh, okay, well, I got a TV job. My husband's a football player. We can afford to take care of him. But we could not believe the cost of taking care of a patient with Parkinson's. So many of these drugs were coming out of pocket. They had to pay out of pocket. So that was the initial start of Holly Rod Foundation. Then, because around that time, RJ was about 2 or 3. We were just starting to get that diagnosis, or I was suspecting in my gut that he had autism. And so once the autism diagnosis came shortly after that, it took a minute for me to process what autism was and what was going on. Because this was back in 2000 when there wasn't a lot of information. There was no me. Sorry, I hate to pat myself on the back, but there was no me out screaming from the rooftops.
Right.
There were no other parents that had platforms that were talking about autism at the time. So I didn't know what the heck this thing was. I didn't know how to process any of it. It was difficult. Rodney was in denial for years and he was playing ball. He was away. It was a struggle. So it wasn't until probably about 5 or 6 years into the diagnosis that we started to switch or at least share the mission with Holly Rod and to provide compassionate care for families impacted by autism as well as Parkinson's. My dream was to build something called RJ's Place, which took forever, but we finally did build it out. And it is a full service, comprehensive job training, compassionate care, support groups, just like a really great place where people that are impacted by autism and Parkinson's can come, can fellowship, can share ideas, can job train. And it has been such a blessing, but it took us forever. We got it built. It's in LA. And I'm going to encourage lots of people on February 11th to come by and visit RJ's Place and check it out. I'm really
I would love to do that. Oh my Lord, we have to do that, Juliet.
We do actually. We'll bring our stuff. We'll bring ourselves.
We'll do a field trip down there, and it's really great. I mean, when you talk about a labor of love, like it was so awesome to have it there. And then, and we've had lots of support, and especially from the Los Angeles Dodgers, who employs my son RJ now, which is amazing. I could sob just thinking about it, but just local support in the community of RJ's Place has helped it grow and provided opportunities for us to continue our programs. Like every other charity, we got kicked in the face by COVID, and we were not able to do so many in-person programs. And online programs are very difficult for the autism community. And so that was it's been a hard couple years. But we're back. We're going to have Design Care again, our gala, June 18th. And so really excited to be able to run up to our gala with this amazing Fashion on the Spectrum event. And I'm just so thrilled to be able to talk about the things that we've been able to do all these years.
That's fantastic.
Amazing.
I want to add information about RJ's Place as well, Juliet. I mean,
yes.
I think that's so fantastic. And anybody that is in LA, they could take a look. It's really being able to see exactly, where, what's happening and what you're doing and where their dollars are going. So any sponsors or anybody that is participating.
And I would anybody who wants to come visit, just meet me down there. I'll take you on a tour, show you what it is we do, and so that people know, where their dollars are going. But this has been a really humbling couple of years, and we've really had to rely on organizations like yours, basically, Cynthia, to really support and help us keep us going. And so it was just nothing but a blessing to be able to be a beneficiary. But if there's anybody who wants a personal tour of RJ's Place, I love giving them. And RJ will give you a tour as well. It'll be a little faster than mine because he's a little less patient. But you got to come on by and check it out.
He's so beautiful, and all the kids are just so beautiful. I just love when I see their faces. I just can't believe it.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard to, like, I don't have any problem like getting older, but when you see our kids growing and pregnant and working and college, it's just, boy, it just really is humbling to see how these kids have grown, because all of us, had kids around the same time. And so we really experienced those early days. And, even around the diagnosis time, I mean, Cynthia knew RJ before he was diagnosed with autism. So like, I feel a real connection to a lot of all the women's all the women folk and all the field.
Right.
We all knew each other, like in the early days of our marriages, our lives,
absolutely. I watched everything like with you, and I got to see the twins at two days after you got home, and you guys were at Rittenhouse Square, and I got to hold the babies, and just to Brian and RJ, they were just so beautiful and little, and then to see the family grow, and then you have your Robinson, and Roman. It's just like, there you are. Look at the Peets. How did this happen?
I don't know. I was really good after boy girl twins. I'm not sure what happened after that. Like,
right.
Sonia was not. So
Right. And then before the show started, the reason, so when I had my kids and Holly was just married, Aiden just fell in love with Holly and just would just gravitate towards her all the time. And I'm in Aiden's house right now, so she's dipped in real quick to show Holly that she's pregnant. So we got a big kick out of that because she was like, no, this is not happening.
Because the last time my memories of Aiden are just being this amazing, beautiful. What was she, like, 6 or 5, and just hanging out with my twins and being so good with them,
Yeah, just
being so good with kids. And now look,
no, look right. All those kids, yeah, they grow up together.
that was really
God
cool.
bless you.
Same to you. And I'm just love seeing Aiden. I can't quite process that. I'm going to need a minute beverage later on to really process that. But that is so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you so much. So much. Thank you for being with us today too. Boy, I'll tell you, this has been a real treat.
It's such a treat. And I mean, and also just sitting here, like, I don't know if you guys could see, my face hurts. Like, I have the biggest grin, like permagrin on, because just to see you guys interact, and you could just feel the connection and the love. And it's like, old friends. And so I have to also say, because when Charisse was on, she said, oh my gosh, Juliet and Cynthia, when Cookie is on Fireside with you guys, you have to have Holly actually as the co-host, because it will be so fun. So I'm going to have Cynthia reach out and try to figure that out, because that would be really fun. And then I hope I get to see you. I know, at the, in person in the, at the luncheon, the NFL Thread luncheon, during that, hopefully that you'll be there and you'll be able to stop by and chat with us here. But it's so just awesome to see you guys again. You can just feel the love. And I love that it happened in Philly.
It's real love. It's real authenticity. It's real, solidified friendship that just comes from you. Like, we may not see each other, for years at a time, but we pick right back up where we left off. Yeah. And we have that. And absolutely, I wholeheartedly accept to help you maybe co-host with Cookie, because she's a phenomenal woman. And I have lots of questions for her.
Good. That would be so fun. I love when friends are together, because you really get the conversation going. So that would be
the questions to ask, and how, where the real meat is. And so I'm excited for that opportunity. Just let me know.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, we'll definitely do that, because again, it's been like a lot of the women we've had on, and Erica and Rachel are in the audience right now, and it's just so cool to see you guys, because it is, like you said, and any woman, any man really, but anyone that knows, like, when you have your old friends and friends that you drift apart, but then you get back together, you just get that feeling, right? You get that feeling in your stomach.
And Julia, it's just like you said earlier, to your point about letting people know what these ladies are doing.
Right.
It's a very unique sorority that we belong to. Mm-hmm. And it's hard to explain to anybody else what it's like to have your husband out there, whether it's wins, losses, injuries, getting cut. These are really hard things. And there are only a handful of people who really understand what that's like, because mostly they say, oh, you're so blessed, you have this, your kids, and your everyone's taken care of, and you're making money. There's so much more to it than that. Mm-hmm. And so to be able to have women that you can talk to and go, can you believe this? Or, all that. It's very, very good to have this group of women together. And we do need to highlight their work a little bit brighter.
Yes. And that's why I'm so happy that this happened. And I have to say, because again, coming from the outside and coming from a very big sports family, anytime my husband or kids boys would say, oh, this person got traded, I remember being, oh, that's so exciting. And I said, after that first interview, and it wasn't even with Cynthia, it was, and I think it was with Tommy, I said, I will never, ever in any sport go, yay, I will think to the woman, because I have moved, not as much as everyone else, but I've moved by choice. Right. And, going, and I always remember you get there and then you're like, oh, I got to get the doctors and the dentist and all of those things. And I can't, and school and sports, like you got to, even before, like if your kids are in sports, you got to make sure, in the friendships. Mm-hmm. And so I got so passionate, where that's where I said to Cynthia, I need to have a platform where I can share your guys' story, because you have such a special bond and you are such a sisterhood, and it is so apparent. And I, again, the out there, what you said is right. Everyone's like, oh, they have all this money. And I forget, I think it might've been Dominique when she said she was sitting on the couch, or it was Rachel sitting on the couch, in their $1 million home with their baby, but being lost. And it's a woman, like, all of us women that have had babies or have moved, and have lost that, we can all relate. And so we all need to uplift. And that's what I think right now, we've gotten a lot better. I've always been in that kind of circle, but women need to uplift women, and we need to help and support each other and listen to each other's stories and listen to the similarities.
Well, that's why it's so great to have these people in, because we get it, because you're not going to get and you shouldn't try to get a whole lot of people on the periphery to say, oh, poor lady. Oh, they got to be, that's why this group of women is so powerful, because we all understand and we all support each other. And then, factor in when your husband's retired, that's a whole nother movie altogether. Mm-hmm. And, Cynthia, I don't know if you know, but like, I was glad to retire and just sort of not have the stress of, of the whole thing. Obviously you always miss it, but I'm still in it, because my brother-in-law is the running backs coach for the Cowboys and has been coaching for over 20 years. So around the time Rodney retired, Skip was just getting going as an assistant coach. And I feel like every weekend I'm like, why am I back here again? Why do I
it keeps going?
Right. Because my sister-in-law is calling me going, oh my God, girl, can you believe this, that, and the other? So I still feel like a football wife. Like I still feel like I have something at stake. So anyway, God bless all of you guys and everyone listening, the wives that are listening. I see Ashley's on. What's up, Ashley? And all the wives that are on right now. We all have each other's back, and that's so important. It's really important.
Exactly. I mean, we all have each other's back, and then being a part of something like Off the Field is not only do we get to connect, but then we also get out there and we do things and we impact outside of what we're doing professionally, outside of what we're doing with our families. It is a friendship, but it isn't just because, we want to play. I think being a part of the board, it is work, and it is good work. It's strong work that impacts others and benefits others. And this year to benefit, it is so personal and it's so rewarding to benefit Holly Rod. It's like right there within the family. Plus, it's just fantastic what you're doing. Besides being within the family, it's just fantastic and important. So
thank you so much. It's been a great conversation. I cannot wait for February 11th. We're going to have so much fun, and we're going to raise funds, but we're just going to really just bring this love, all this love we're talking about virtually. We're going to bring it in an actual room at Santa Monica Place, where I have flashbacks of working at Hot Dog on a Stick.
We need to have hot dogs on the stick.
I know. I love that. And I just want to say, Ashley said, Holly can't wait to be in LA and raise lots of money for Holly Rod.
Yay.
So I also just want to remind everyone that YNS Live with NFL Thread podcast Super Bowl series is sponsored by Shutterstock Editorial. And at those events, they're going to be following us and taking pictures and capturing everything that we are doing, which is just amazing and really special. So, I just want to also thank Holly for joining us and taking the time, because I know you guys, I know you're busy, and all the ladies in the audience. I mean, I know you guys, every time I go to talk to Cynthia, she's like on another call. Cynthia, once again, for being my co-host and giving me this opportunity, because it is an amazing one. And I love our story and our history. And I love that all three of us, it goes back to Philly, right? It goes back to Philly. So, everyone, thank you so much for joining YNS Live with NFL Thread, live on Fireside. If you were on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitch, we are on our Twitch and YouTube. You guys share this, get this out. And again, go over to all of the different, if it's Off the Field, pwa.org, or their Instagram, which is the same, or Holly R. Peete or Holly Rod FDN. You guys can find out information, or you can also go to NFL Thread and you can find out all the information on how to get involved in this, because this is the other thing. This is giving other people involved. You don't have to be in the NFL community to get involved in this, because we all are touched by autism. We are all touched by Parkinson's. There's, three, what is it? The three people separated. I don't know. And I said that wrong, but you know what I mean? We all are touched by these things. So go and do something. Go and do something really good, because when you do good for other people, it just makes you a better person. It makes your heart bigger. And that's what this world needs more now than ever. And I don't want to say that because I don't love to say that, but like more now than ever, we all just need to come together and just do really good things. And one little step you can do is go support Holly Rod right now, because again, you can touch someone's life. So again, thank you, Holly. And thank you, Cynthia, and all the women that have joined and wherever you guys are listening.
Thanks for joining.
You guys, sending love.
Yes. And Erica said, great conversation. Have a great day, everyone. So again, I'm going to bring the little music up.
Hey.
And thank you again.